budget special debate on housing, real estate and infrastructure. The first union budget of the Modi government, much anticipated, seems to have gone down well with the industry. The broader message which came through was, let's build India, build smart cities, build affordable housing by funneling FDI, build highways, build rural roads, airports, industrial cities, build urban infrastructure. The big question is, has enough been detailed for all the well-intentioned Build India plans to fructify? Because if we can kickstart building and construction activity, revival of the economy is a given outcome. My panel today to answer that question, Niranjan Hiranandani, co-founder and chairman of Hiranandani Group, and also past president MCHI, Anuj Puri, chairman and country head JLL India, Rakesh Makkar, president and CDO DHFL. We also have with us in the Delhi studio Gitambar Anand, CMD ATS Infrastructure, and of course I should be going from the extreme left to the right, so Rajiv Talwar, Group ED DLF. And I also have with me Neeraj from KPMG, Neeraj Bansal, and Shailesh Pathak from the Bhartiya Group. All right, so the big question, I think, Niranjan, first question to you, and that's, there have been many hits, some misses, but overall, has this budget been a little bit of a music to the real estate industry which hadn't heard anything in the last couple of budgets?
Very, very happy to hear lots and lots of things that it's talked about housing. Our expectations were high. They've been able to match at least 60-70% of it. I think I'm very, very happy. I think they have made a dent into what they want to do. They have not completed the entire milestone. I think we need to do a lot more in order to get the 25 million houses that we need to do. But let me tell you, in 45 days of a government, I promise you I wouldn't have been able to do as well as he has done in this budget. So hats off to the Modi government and the budget that he has done. And I'm very happy, as you said correctly, that they talked about housing so dearly. And they talked about how the common man is going to get an affordable house. Kudos to the government. But Venkaiah Naidu has a lot left to do on his own account in order to complete this mission. So I think we'll have to wait for the Venkaiah Naidu story in order to complete the entire limit of what we need to do to achieve 25 million houses.
All right, so we'll get to the specifics a little bit later. Anuj Puri, thumbs up overall from a housing real estate perspective and infrastructure as well.
Absolutely, Manisha. There is an ear-to-ear smile. I remember, on the last panel discussion that we had last week, just before the budget, I was saying it's been 4 years, I haven't heard real estate word spoken in the budget. And I think the first half an hour of this budget speech looked like a real estate bill. So there was a fair amount of real estate activity, whether it was REITs, private equity, affordable housing, smart cities. I'm sure we're going to discuss all that in the panel. But I would give it a thumbs up. Clearly, the way real estate sector was announced and benefited out of this budget. Now, I'm sure the expectation of the real estate industry would be more than what he's announced. But clearly, from my perspective, given that he's been in government 35 days with little maneuvering, given the fiscal deficit, I think he's done well in announcing the schemes that he has for the real estate sector.
Rajiv Talwar, your reaction?
Absolutely tops.
Absolutely tops.
That's
okay.
it. I think Anuj just said it very well.
I know the start of the speech itself talked about smart cities, affordable housing, didn't it?
And I think what they've taken on is from India 1. It kick-started the economy, that this was the engine, and urbanization and housing, construction and real estate. I think they've gone back to that, and it augurs very well for the economy. Given the constraints that Anuj has spoken about, I think the finance minister has done a very, very good job.
Neeraj?
I think clearly, like everyone said, it's I would say that's a very directional budget, and it's very right on intent and quite right on content as well. Because only few things which one would expect, like from a direct tax perspective, that one could have expected more to get done. But
always more on
but
the
45
tax
days. But 45 days is I would say is a lesser time as well.
He also has to meet that 4.1% fiscal deficit target. Gitambar, I remember last year you came angry, upset, and very agitated after the budget. But this time around, I can see a big smile.
Yeah, see, Manisha, we are doers. In the industry, we want to be a part of this 2022 story. Great budget, I agree with whatever everybody else has said, bang on. But we don't have time. 2022 is just 8 years away. The shortage, Niranjan, is not 25 million. It's going to be close to 40 million by 2022. How do we put up those houses? We need to look at that. Now, that is a reality which we must face today and start working on it. Now, whatever this budget has opened up is very well. FDI in affordable housing, but it still does not encourage the private sector to go into that space.
So let's come to that a little bit later. Shailesh, first reaction seems to be very positive. Are you going to play the devil's advocate and say, I'm not that happy?
I'd say we should appreciate the linkage between jobs, housing and industrial and manufacturing corridors that, you know, the finance minister has thrown up. A mission on low cost affordable housing, housing for all by 2022, 100 smart cities, and on urban renewal, I think over 500 habitations, and particularly on financing of cities, you know, the PMDO, the pooled municipal debt obligations, as well as REITs. I think these are very great positives, so no devil's advocate.
No devil's advocate today. So let's get down to specific, and I think the first one I'm going to take is a consumer specific detail which has come out in the union budget. Deduction limit on home loan interest in respect of self-occupied house property being raised from 1.5 lakh to 2 lakh, a much awaited and a much needed change. Rakesh Makkar, tell me, I mean, the consumer has been demanding it, the industry has been demanding it. There's also been some leverage given and some, you know, extra income in the hands of every consumer. Do you think that's a big boost to the demand for housing?
This is absolutely fantastic budget. Number one, by increasing the tax limit, it leaves more money in customers' hand, because a lot of our customers were struggling to make the down payment of 10 or 20%. That's one big positive. Secondly, interest tax benefit, which customer going to get because of rebate, that's positive. He gets a rebate on principal. So housing loan, which normally he would take at 10.5, 10.25, he actually post-tax saving, it will cost him around 7.5%, which is fantastic in a country where we have inflation of 8-9%. This is a big opportunity for him to have his own house. And we all know in this country we have a huge shortage of houses. To put the exact number, we have 19 million household shortage in urban India and close to 44 million houses shortfall in rural India. So it's huge, huge shortage. So I think these are very, very positive steps by government.
All right, so more disposable income and of course tax benefits on housing loan as well. So these two are a very big positive. So let's get down to that other big expectation which has been fulfilled to a certain level, which is affordable housing. Niranjan Hiranandani, you sent us a paper that you'd recommended for the housing ministry in terms of affordable housing. Yes, there's been a miss. There's not been infrastructure status given to it, but everything else which this budget holds, do you think it's incentive good enough for developers such as you to look seriously at affordable housing now?
I think it is there, but there are a couple of things which are missing more than just infrastructure status, which was very important because we don't get long-term funding for housing. One was service tax. It's quite an anomaly that if you buy a house which is under construction, you pay 12% service tax. If you get an occupation certificate of the same house, you pay no service tax. Now, this is ridiculous. So, and people who can't afford a house buy it on installments during construction period because they cannot wait for the building to be ready and pay it in one installment. So I think some of these anomalies have remained, and I think once we get the totality in place and we have the next budget in 6 months, we need to correct these anomalies in order to see that the other end-to-end is completely not missed. So I think this is going to be extremely important. One of the other factors which I think have remained is the SEZ issue, which really is part of the realty sector. The finance minister has clearly stated that SEZ...
We'll come to SEZs later. I think let's just focus on affordable housing because it's a big dream and a big need for the country. Okay.
The taxation levels in case of housing is still not too good, and I think we need to really look at that. If you look at the total amount of taxes that affordable house has to pay is almost 30 to 32%, which goes into taxes, direct and indirect. And I think somewhere that had to be rationalized also. It's not happened. Maybe when GST comes in, that may get rationalized.
All right. So GST, well, he said that pretty much not set a date, but said this year has to be used to get GST rolling. Rajiv Talwar, would DLF get into affordable housing after this budget or
I
too
think there's
soon?
another provision in this which will make everyone get into that.
All right, let's hear that one.
That is that 30%
Yes.
threshold level. I think some cities have already come into it when they say that make 15% necessarily
For affordable
over and
housing.
above your FAR which you get. This is making it 30%. I think the kind of investment which is required will come in. There's the National Housing Bank, 4,000 crores which has been given for it. That will help it. The very fact that you said GST and REITs, I think what is the intent? The intent is that the commodities which go into housing and real estate will hopefully become cheaper. The cost of capital will also become cheaper. Therefore, what you are offering in a way should, with increased supplies, moderate prices, and therefore I think it will be in everyone's interest not only to cater to the niche market that they are looking forward to, but also to provide affordable housing, or what we would call CSP housing in very large numbers. That
Okay.
is the service providers. I think what you said was absolutely correct. There is directional clarity in this budget, and that is something which we need to build upon.
Anuj Puri, you know, whether it's DLF or it's Hiranandani, most of these groups and large developers, even mid-sized developers, few of them have ventured into affordable housing for several reasons. The bigger reason has also been that they've been in an extremely sweet spot with premium and luxury housing. And now that sweet spot seems to be actually drying up, isn't it? So affordable housing is the biggest market. And if you can make money in it, then why not get into it?
Yeah, and Manisha, you're absolutely correct. I do believe that you're going to find, grade A players get into affordable housing. And I'll take one point why I believe that they will is because of the 100 smart cities. These are satellite townships that are going to be built next to major cities. Now, these satellite townships would have the requisite infrastructure. We heard about water, sanitation, roads, metros that are going to be built up. But the most important thing is today why you're not able to do affordable housing in large cities is because of the land pricing. And hopefully with 100 new smart cities, when they're acquired at a lot more reasonable land price. And today on an average, if you were to look at it, 50% of the project is towards the land price and 50 is perhaps the rest of it. Now that 50, can you reduce it to 20 as the cost of the land, given that these are new townships that are going to be created? So I think that's where you're going to find a huge amount of focus, not only from the Indian developer community, but also from international developer community because of two reasons. One, your FDI limit has come down from 500,000 to 200,000 square feet. And second, that this is going to be a lot more cleaner landscape that is going to come up. Equally, one other thing, Manisha, that the finance minister said that he is not looking at these townships only as just residential play. He's looking at bringing economic activity into these townships. And that's what, to my mind, is a delight, that these are going to be proper townships where there's going to be economic activity rather than just residential cities where people still come into the metro city and then go back in the evening to those residential townships. And that's where I believe you're going to find a huge amount of interest from the developer community to create the real estate component of these new 100 smart cities.
I could see you smiling and beaming because now you're with a company which is looking to build smart cities. So this, connection between the fact that once you have new smart cities where land is available at a much cheaper rate with the entire ecosystem, affordable housing automatically gets taken care of, or it becomes possible for developers to look at affordable housing. Is the linkage that clear?
Yes, in fact, let me give you a specific example. We are putting up over 10,000 homes costing less than 20 lakh, between 15 to 20 lakhs, about 10,000 homes in the next 2 to 3 years near Chennai. I had a look at the site, and our objective is to put up a million homes in the 20 lakh minus segment over the next few years. We are evaluating Mexican and South African technology, and the Korean example is very fascinating on how they upscaled it. I believe that with current technology, doing anything upwards of 1 million homes for a group like ours is eminently feasible.
Gitambar, your first reaction, and I saw in a press release, was on affordable housing, saying that it definitely incentivizes developers to get into that segment.
See, actually, the thing is, just to put things in perspective, smart cities may not necessarily be new cities. There are existing cities which will have better Wi-Fi connectivity, better infrastructure. So there are existing cities
They're not going
also.
to be created in barren land and deserts. I mean,
No, they're not.
There's Bhiwadi, there's Neemrana. You
Yes.
can convert all of these cities into
Like
smart
they can
cities
also
as
think
well.
of a Saharanpur. They can think
Yes.
of a Muradabad. Let's to be to closer home.
Is
Just
that the way they'll go?
a smart
They've
city? Why
mentioned
not?
satellites and parts of existing cities. So the budget speech says smart cities and satellites and parts of existing
Yeah.
cities.
So what we need is, and I'm saying this again and again, we need to look beyond the metros. This shortage of 44 million, I said 40 million, 44 million homes is across the country, even in smaller towns. So as an industry, we tend to not even see those. Even, when government speaks of it, they
But you
speak
don't
of...
see them, Gitambar, because there are no job opportunities
No,
there. The
no, no,
economic
I beg to-
ecosystem is much weaker than it would be in
No,
an NCR. There's a migration.
Manisha,
You've
I
got
beg to
stop that
differ.
migration.
No. There's enough job opportunities over there. I mean, we are operating in 3 or 4 such towns, and those people don't want to come here. And they have enough opportunities. So for example, Saharanpur, for example, Bijnor, there's a lot of cane industry, sugar industry over there. Bulandshahar's got a
So
huge...
you're saying, okay, so that's an opportunity.
But-
Don't consider smart cities as new cities,
Yes,
but even development
yes,
of smart.
absolutely.
Okay.
The PM, let me please complete. The PM had, before he became PM, he had spoken of a concept of rurban. That's a combination of
It's a
rural and
mission.
urban.
It's a mission.
So that is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the concept of a rurban dwelling, wherein people don't have to actually move out and they get enough employment where they are, but they need a good living space over there which has sustainable infrastructure. But the private sector does not want to go there to do business. That is what has to change.
Okay.
Why must I go, or why must Rajiv's company DLF, or why must anybody else go and do business there? Because they would rather operate in the NCR, or maybe closer to NCR, or maybe in Bangalore, closer to Bangalore. Who will go there?
Now you will.
Not really. No, I'm already there. But I want that all of us should go there also. So there has to be some sort of incentive for our industry to go to that space.
Did the budget give you that incentive is what my question
No.
is.
Can I
No.
name two? The Rurban Mission
Yeah.
and 24/7 power in all areas, including rural areas. Suddenly this mega cities, instead of just mega cities happening,
it.
a lot of other non-mega urban centers will start happening,
Will start.
which is very
Yeah.
I think
needed.
that's what
Which is
you know. Most of us are in many cities all over India. I think you'll find growths coming in there, and affordable housing will very much be a part of it.
All right, let's take a quick break at this note. There is, of course, another big breakthrough which this budget was expected to give and has, which is tax pass-through for REITs, which is expected to unlock capital for the real estate market and, of course, allow the industry to also capitalize on office space and commercial real estate. We'll come back and examine that and other infrastructure initiatives which have been announced in this Union Budget 2014.